Let's Talk Books, the official podcast of BookExpo America, BEA. On this episode, we visit with Sarah Hollenbeck and Lynn Mooney, the co-owners of Chicago's landmark independent bookstore, Women and Children First. Tell us about Women and Children First. Lynn, do you want to start us off?
Women and Children First was started in 1979 by Linda Boobin and Ann Christofferson. They were second-wave feminists studying literature, and they were finding that many of the women writers who they wanted to study weren't available. They were either out of print or the bookstores weren't currently carrying them. And this included such obscure writers as George Eliot, Virginia Woolf. You get our idea here. These are not writers that are now considered obscure at all. But it was an indication of the time. It was also a time when a lot of feminists were thinking about how they were going to live their lives, what professions they were going to pursue. And not all of them were going into academia, as you might think, although a lot of women's studies departments in colleges and universities were starting around this time. There were a lot of feminists who were starting businesses, including feminist bookstores, feminist presses. And so Anne and Linda decided to pursue that and opened a feminist bookstore. We are still going strong now, 35 years later. Anne and Linda just retired last year, and my business partner Sarah and I were very lucky and fortunate to be selected by them as the new owners of the store. We are definitely continuing the legacy of feminism and being a feminist's bookstore, a safe space for women and other groups. But we're also updating it. We want to be relevant to new generations of women, new generations of readers. We're also a neighborhood bookstore. And because we're very fortunate to be located in the Andersonville neighborhood of Chicago, which is a wonderfully politically progressive neighborhood, it's a neighborhood that embraced the ideas of local businesses and the importance of those early on. There's basically no tension between being a feminist bookstore and a neighborhood bookstore.
Sarah, do you feel a great sense of responsibility to carry the baton forward?
Definitely. This is a huge honor, but also a huge responsibility that we've shouldered. I believe that in furthering the cause of feminism, we really focus on this idea of dialogue and conversation, and how we as the new owners will help that conversation about what feminism is today is going to evolve, how it's going to evolve. And so like this idea of intersectionality is so important to the way that feminism is evolving, and this idea that we're not just addressing sexism, but we're also addressing other systems of oppression like racism and ableism and classism. And that's part of this responsibility that Anne and Linda started, that foundation of a focus on intersectional feminism. So that's, I think, a big responsibility that both of us feel called to take action as not only booksellers but also activists.
Talk a little bit about embracing the community.
We are extremely active in the community. Lynn actually serves on the Chamber of Commerce, the Andersonville Chamber of Commerce, and we try, and as the event planner, I try and participate in all of the huge neighborhood activities that the Chamber of Commerce plans. Every month, I feel like something is going on in terms of, like, for example, this weekend is the Arts Walk, the Arts Weekend, and we are having a featured artist in our store and participating in that, so that we're on the map of different exhibitors that are you can check out this weekend.
Another example is, for instance, in a couple of weeks, we're going to be hosting a conversation between Gloria Steinem and Roxane Gay. It happens to coincide with the release of Gloria Steinem's new book. We're happy to say that she's actually read here numerous times in the past, and we're really excited about hosting her again. But we purposely put her together in conversation with another well-known feminist, a younger feminist, Roxane Gay, who also happens to be a friend of the store, who we've hosted numerous times. And we're extraordinarily excited about this event. We have sold about 1,200 tickets to date. And in just attending one of my chamber board meetings, I mentioned to the group, hey, we're going to be hosting this event. I know we're all really good about working together. If, some of you restaurants want to offer some specials, we're bringing 1,200 people to this neighborhood on a certain date. This is a guaranteed audience. And we've done this before. We tip each other off, and it did turn out that a couple restaurants in the neighborhood are doing specials, late night dinners that, if you show your book or your ticket, you get 20% off your dinner. So we're very much a part of our neighborhood community. We also originally, when we moved to this location, which was 25 years ago, we were specifically recruited to Andersonville by a local group of business people. At that time, Andersonville was a relatively sleepy neighborhood, but there were some really, energetic, creative, smart business people who had a vision for this neighborhood, and they actually did recruit us to serve as an anchor business. They thought that they wanted a business here that would give other local business people the courage, the vision to move their businesses here as well, or to open their businesses here. So we actually have been sort of serving that anchor position in the community for a long time. Again, we get as much out of it as we give. It's a really wonderful thing we have in this neighborhood. We're very fortunate that way.
And Andersonville is known as an LGBTQ-friendly neighborhood, and we are so fortunate to have a lot of non-traditional families who shop in our children's department, and I think that that's a really rich way that we connect with the community, is we offer children's books that showcase all different kinds of families, and you can't find that at all the bookstores in the neighborhood. So we really, I think that's a very meaningful part of that connection.
Ladies, you are both trapped on a deserted island. You can only bring one book. What book is that going to be, and why?
I have to choose an essay collection for myself, because that is what I love most and is most resonates with the way I think. Empathy Exams by Leslie Jameson, just because I love the book, but I think it's a starting point. It's a book that has a million different little seedlings of ideas that you as a reader can jump off from, and also create your own story of how you connect or do not connect with each little seedling in the book.
I think I'll say To Kill a Mockingbird, and I'm going to say that for a couple reasons, not least of which that my book group just recently reread it a month or so ago, and I just found I still loved it. It means a lot more now to me, though. It's a sentimental favorite. I really do feel like it contains some of the best characters in American fiction, Scout and her father Atticus. But I also feel that now, rereading it this past year, we all have to read that book now in a more sophisticated way. And whatever else you think about the whole Harper Lee Watchmen thing, even though sentimentally it's hard to read Mockingbird with a kind of a sharper lens, I'm glad now we need to. I'm glad the social environment has changed, and it's time. It's time to face the harder realities that underlie that book.
For our final question, please complete the sentence. I read.
I read because it's just my favorite thing to do.
I read because I need to connect.
Let's Talk Books is a production of BookExpo America, BEA, the leading book and author event for the North American publishing industry. Join us in Chicago for BEA 2016, May 11th through 13th at McCormick Place. For more information on this episode in BEA, visit bookexpoamerica.com.